Hello everyone, I am Julian Morris with the Channel 5 News. In the headlines, Senior Counsel Anthony Astephen refutes Earl Williams' suggestions he may have influenced the Bar Association's statement on media attacks on the judiciary. Prime Minister Skerry describes the Bar Association's response to attacks on Justice Stevenson as tamed and disheartening. And the Grade 6 National Assessment, usually held in May, will now be held in July with some changes. The details coming up.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
First up in the news, former opposition member of Parliament, Attorney Earl Williams, said Tuesday's press statement by the Dominica Bar Association may have been influenced or even written by Senior Counsel Anthony Astephen. In its press statement, the Bar Association called for prudence and pragmatism when making public statements or comments on the judiciary.
I suspected from day one that statement probably was influenced or even directed or written by Attorney at Law Tony Astephen. And hearing him this morning, I realized he's the one that put them in that controversy, because the people have a right to ask questions about any office, any organization in Dominica. The business of ouster clauses, before you cannot talk about president, you cannot talk about this, all these things gone the window, because the people have a right to examine any office for which the taxpayers are paying their funds. In America, the court, even the High Court, the Supreme Court, have been criticized by all presidents. President Obama, in one of his State of the Union speeches, criticized the court while they were sitting right in front of the at the State of the Union. People have a right to examine courts. Further, asking a court and filing an application, whether it's by motion, to ask a court to, or a judge to recuse himself, is part of our legal system. Most attorneys do it if they think the judge who that sits on the court, that the client will not get justice. The fact that she has extended her stay in Dominica several times is evidence that the opposition should not trust on any cases that they have involved in. Because one of the reasons for the security of tenure having you to be a judge within a particular period of time, that you will not have to ask any government for favors to extend your time or give you more time. It is enshrined that you're going to work from this period to that period. In our constitution, there are certain offices, like as well, director of audit, a lot of offices that have the time that which you have to leave at age 55, at age 60, and when that time comes, you have to leave, because even the DPP as well. Because we don't want the government to be extending a DPP time, putting a DPP on contract, because the government will have influence on that person. It don't look good for justice.
Williams says when there is bias, real or perceived, the people have the right to speak out. Senior Counsel Astephen has fired back at Mr. Williams for suggesting he influenced or wrote the Bar Association's press statement.
I have no intentions of reporting to a man who fled the country. He's now hostage or exile or refugee somewhere in the United States. He's completely ignorant of the law, indeed of most things. And the suggestion that I influenced or wrote the Dominica Bar Association press release is extremely foolish, because I think that the press release is mild. It's a tap on the finger for bullying in the schoolyard. Although it's an explanation of how the system works. What we have, Mr. Morris, is an electronic lynching of a judge, brutalized and by constant threats from the leadership, the leader, Lennox Linton, and others in the United Workers' Party, including Earl Williams and others, right? What we have here is the execution of a criminal act of scandalizing the court and bringing the High Court and the judge into disrepute based on nothing but the lies of Lennox Linton. And I am telling you, as I have told others, I intend to ask the government, the Bar Association, the police, the Director of Public Prosecution, what it is they intend to do about this open, broad daylight criminal act that took place on Q95 and social media that led to the learned judge, without any basis in fact or law, recusing herself from doing these matters. That is my response to Mr. Williams.
Following the December 2019 general elections, the UWP filed petitions challenging the outcome of 10 out of the 21 constituencies. Justice Bernie Stevenson was due to rule on government's application to have the matter struck out on Wednesday. Opposition leader Lennox Linton said, based on the judge's record, she should recuse herself.
Bernie Stevenson, her record of performance in the court system of Dominica against those who have brought matters against Roosevelt's Security administration, her record in those cases over many years that she's been here requires that she recuses herself from this strikeout application from the government with regard to the petitions, election petitions filed by the United Workers' Party within 21 days of the December 6th election. Bernie Stevenson cannot be fair, she cannot be impartial, she cannot be independent, she cannot be objective where the dispensation of justice as it involves the United Workers' Party in Dominica is concerned, and she should recuse herself from this matter. I understand that even though she is in the criminal jurisdiction of the court, she's been asked by her superiors to do the case, even though the High Court in its civil jurisdiction has a judge. There's a judge responsible for the civil jurisdiction of the High Court here who is being bypassed to look at this case to hand it over to Bernie Stevenson instead, who is in the criminal division of the court. Lennox Linton, the leader of the parliamentary opposition in Dominica, says today on Q95 that it is necessary in the circumstances, in the interest of justice, for Bernie Stevenson to recuse herself from hearing that matter on the 10th.
Senior Counsel Anthony Astafan commented on the opposition leader's statement on Tuesday.
What we have here is a deliberate smear campaign, calculated in dishonestly, falsely and maliciously calculated by Lennox Linton and the United Workers' Party to undermine the integrity of one of the fundamental institutions of our society, which is the High Court judge. And I think this is the first time from the Associated States Court from '67 to the independent Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court have I ever seen or heard of such a vicious, hostile, fraudulent, malicious campaign against the integrity of a judge. And the judge felt, I have absolutely no doubt that she could not and will not physically, mentally, intellectually, emotionally tolerate that sort of abuse. Abuse which in many cases included utterances which threatened her physical safety and her life. And I want to know, what are these civil societies, the NGOs doing and saying about it, what it is that the police are saying and doing about it, what sort of investigation has been taking place, that sort of criminal assault against a judge can go on Q95, on Facebook and social media, nothing is done. And unfortunately, the judge is compelled to take measures to protect her safety. That is an extraordinary event. And rather than celebrating this, those who caused it should hang their head in eternal shame for embarrassing the nation with their criminal misconduct on radio and on social media. It's a very sad and unfortunate day, because we all lose cases, and we will always lose cases that have no merit. But to attack a judge in the way Lennox Linton coordinated it, it would be a shame, a disgrace to the country if he got away with it.
And Prime Minister Skerrit has expressed shock and dismay at what he says is an attack on Justice Bernie Stevenson. Mr. Skerrit issued a statement on Wednesday saying the opposition's attack on Justice Stevenson was unwarranted and baseless.
In a democracy, we will agree or disagree from time to time with any judgment given by any judge or any court in our jurisdiction. And people have a right to criticize or to disagree publicly or privately with a decision of any judge or magistrate in a democracy. So I am not saying that these judges are immune to criticism. But what is really at play there is an unwarranted, baseless, malicious and vicious attack on a judge.
The Prime Minister says he expected a stronger statement from the Bar Association, a view also shared by Senior Counsel Anthony Astafan.
I am even more shocked at the response of the Dominica Bar Association. The Dominica Bar Association is either going to decide whether it is a professional body that should also serve as a watchdog of the preservation of the judiciary system and its independence, or it should be disbanded. This teamed reaction by the Dominica Bar Association to the unwarranted vicious attack on the judge is really disheartening, to say the least. Mr. Linton has attacked the judge from his office of leader of the opposition. And his attack was unfounded, malicious, vicious. And I have been speaking to retired justices in the OECS and beyond to get their reaction to what's happening in Dominica. And they have indicated to me, based on their 30, 40, 50 years of experience, have never seen something like this happening. Never seen something like this happen. And this has caused them to be extremely concerned about what has happened in the Commonwealth of Dominica. And for Mr. Linton to use his office as leader of the opposition to malign a judge and officers of the court, that is to say, lawyers, sit there and then they draft something that is of no value to anyone. I have had sometimes reason to criticize the decision of the court, but I won't go publicly and do so. And neither would I, as Prime Minister, attack the judiciary. It would be irresponsible. And it would be irresponsible for any member of Parliament who has the authority to participate in the preparation of legislation to be so dangerous in his approach. And this is why, I have said to the Dominican people that to have had Mr. Linton as our Prime Minister would bring Dominica in its darkest days. This gentleman has no decorum, he has no understanding of his function, even as leader of the opposition. And I believe that the citizenry of our country, and indeed the OECS Supreme Court jurisdiction, should be outraged. And they are in fact outraged by this. And so it is unfortunate what has happened, and even more unfortunate with regards to the teamed response from the Bar Association. It is really, really outrageous what really has happened. And I want to condemn the unwarranted, unfounded, baseless, vicious attack by the leader of the opposition on a sitting member of the judiciary. And the unfortunate thing in all of this is that the justice, because of the position she holds, does not have the luxury of responding publicly.
In other news now, a renewed call for a proper refuge system for victims of abuse. Andrea Louis has more.
Director of Lifeline Ministries, Tina Alexander, says a place of safety for abused individuals would be ideal. In the absence of such a facility and a proper system to deal with such incidents, the helpline provided through the collaborative efforts of the DNCW, DAPD, CARIMAN and the Bureau of Gender Affairs plays a key role in helping those who suffer at the hands of abusers.
This is really hard, especially as Dominica doesn't yet have a system for refuge for people who are in domestic violence situations. So each case has to be dealt with individually by Gender Bureau or National Council of Women. But we are working with them, and I'm really pleased that they now have a helpline. So people can call and they can get help. In addition to the Red Cross helpline that's for people with psychological issues who need to talk.
Though the current situation is not ideal for victims of abuse to start over, Alexander warns if their life is being threatened, they must seek better conditions.
Because not always women, it can be men too, who are victims of gender-based violence. And we're there as a safety valve, so people can call and can ask for help. Now is not a great time to try and leave. It's not easy. Obviously, if your life is at risk, you must leave. But generally, we try to avoid confrontation at this time and get some help to make a long-term plan to come out. And the counsellors available through the helpline can help you do that.
The Lifeline Ministries Director notes that some victims fear calling for help, and this is a problem which needs to be addressed.
It's a bit tricky because sometimes people are worried about making a call and that somebody would know they'd made a call. We've tried to make some arrangements so that there's a callback facility so we can call back. There's also a WhatsApp facility and a Facebook Messenger facility. So, and if people are in trouble, they can call me. And I will put them in touch with the right person. That's what I do.
You are watching Channel 5 News. We'll have more after this.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD, all for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
Thank you for staying with us. Tuesday, the 7th of July, that's the date set for the 2020 Grade 6 National Assessment, and Joel Louis has that story.
Dominica's education system was thrown a curveball by the COVID-19 crisis, forcing children to stay home and engaging e-learning platforms to continue their syllabus. The Grade 6 National Assessment, which usually takes place in the final week of May, will now be held on Tuesday, 7th July, with a few changes. During a press conference on Wednesday, Senior Education Officer with responsibility for curriculum, measurement and evaluation, Robert Geist, outlined some of the modifications to the hosting of the 2020 Grade 6 National Assessment.
In an effort to lessen the amount of traveling undertaken by the students, the exams will be conducted on one day only. In the past, we had the exams being conducted on 2 days from 8 to 1 o'clock on both days, but this year it will be done on one day, and we will be observing some strict protocols, some very strict protocols for social distancing, health, and well-being. The exams will be administered in such a manner that no more than 10 students will be in a room at any given time.
The number of children per room may change depending on the size of the classroom. The structure of the exam papers being administered has also undergone some changes.
This year, we will have a modified structure of the exams, and instead of 4 papers being administered, we will have only 3 papers during that day. We will have the language arts, the mathematics, and a general paper which consists of social sciences and science and technology. This year, the language arts paper 1 will be moved from 60 to 40 items. The mathematics will move from 60 to 40 items. And the general paper will consist of 25 science and technology questions and 25 social sciences questions.
Each child will be subject to temperature checks before the exams. In an effort to contain the movement of children, pupils now have the option of sitting the exam in the primary school closest to them.
This year we will be using a total of 108 centers, and so we will require 216 supervisors to supervise those exams. To reduce the amount of movement by the students, what we have decided is to give the students, the parents, the opportunity to have the students write the exam at the school closest to them. For example, if a child lives in St. Joseph but they go to the St. Martin School, they can write at the St. Joseph Primary School, at the Kelleblora Primary School. So this is an arrangement that we're making for parents.
The Grade 6 National Assessment, scheduled for Tuesday, 7th July, will run from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
And Dominica's education system commended for its role played during the COVID-19 pandemic. Education Minister Octavia Alfred says the ministry has done well in ensuring that the students were educated online.
COVID-19 changed a lot for us. COVID-19 slowed us down. COVID-19 taught us a lot. COVID-19 speed us up in some places. COVID-19 brought out the best in some of us. Yes, COVID-19 brought out the best in the management team at the Ministry of Education. We were ready. We had a plan from February, and in spite of what we did not achieve, we have done well.
A massive effort was placed on ensuring children without access to e-platforms were able to keep up with the curriculum.
We ensured that schools had internet. We provided hotspots in some areas. We sent devices to many schools. We encouraged primary schools to accommodate secondary school students who live in their communities. We made work available in hard copies for those who had no access to devices and no internet. We provided work on memory stick to those who had devices but no internet. We gave schools extra printing supplies to ensure students had work. We had recorded lessons running on GIS. We had ongoing training. We did our best.
Minister Alfred says the focus is now on fourth form students to ensure they are well prepared for next year's CSEC exams.
My concern now is putting measures in place to ensure that our Form 4 students cover their required work for their course of study in their chosen subjects. Because when we closed in March, fifth form students were doing mock exams. So they had almost come to the end of their... But now my concern is to put measures in place so that fourth form can catch up. Presently, the Ministry of Education is putting a manual together as we prepare for opening in the new school year. I say again, we will be all right because we are not alone in this.
Helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
To end the news, a look again at the headline. Senior Counsel Anthony Astephen refutes Earl Williams' suggestions he may have influenced the Bar Association's press statement on media attacks on the judiciary. Prime Minister Scare describes the Bar Association's response to attacks on Justice Stevenson as tamed and disheartening. And the Grade 6 National Assessment, usually held in May, will now be held in July with some changes. You may access our news on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the production team, I am Julian Morris. Thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow.